A man, after mistakenly consuming 1,000 caddies of lotus grass, was on the verge of exploding from the medicinal effects when he unexpectedly stumbled into a cave. He forcefully engaged with a girl for 3 seconds before disappearing like a scoundrel. Little did he know that his irresponsible action plunged the girl into endless suffering and caused their 3 young cubs to be scorned by everyone from birth. Even their own mother wanted to throw them into an icy river to drown them. Everyone thought the father was a stray beastman, unaware that he was actually Bai Zai, the revered Beast King who had accidentally eaten the love grass while attempting to break through from the Beast King realm to the Beast Emperor realm. 5 years later, the man finally succeeded in breaking through to the Beast Emperor realm. Abundant energy flowed freely within his body. Closing his eyes to feel it, he unexpectedly detected 3 bloodline presences, one of which was close by. The next moment, he arrived next to Su Bei, looking at the unconscious white ball of fur curled up before him, whose body flowed with his own bloodline. Bai Zai had to accept that he was the father of the 3 cubs. He picked up the curled up white creature and, after checking, realized he had only fainted from hunger. He then put an unknown black object into his mouth. A moment later, Su Bei's eyelids fluttered, and he slowly woke up. Seeing the unfamiliar yet handsome silver-haired man before him, he cried out in fear, "Who are you? Don't eat me!" Seeing this, Bai Zai was flustered. As a first-time father, he could only clumsily pat Su Bei's back. Su Bei was almost spat up blood from the patting, so he cried even harder. "Why are you crying? I am your father," Bai Zai said naturally. Even he was a little dazed. "Woo-woo, you're lying! I don't have a father." Bai Zai hadn't placated a child before, so he decided to let him cry until he tired himself out. He walked over to the side and built a fire. Su Bei watched Bai Zai tearfully, and seeing that the man hadn't attacked him, he secretly peeked at him. For some reason, this handsome, silver-haired man gave him an inexplicable feeling of closeness. Su Bei looked at Bai Zai timidly. "Are you really my father? Aren't you a stray beastman? Who told you I was a stray beastman?" Bai Zai frowned, displeased. "Tell me, who is your mother?" At this, Su Bei got angry. "You don't even know who my mother is, and you dare to lie that you are my father." Bai Zai was stunned. He truly knew nothing about Su Bei's mother. "Though I don't know who your mother is, my blood flows in you. That can't be denied. Tell me where your mother is. I will take you to find her." He also sensed the other 2 bloodline presences, meaning he had more than 1 cub. Su Bei, however, shrank back. "You still want to trick me? If you were my father, how could you not know who my mother is? How could you not sense her location?" His small body trembled even more, looking pitiful and helpless. Seeing that he was still suspicious, Bai Zai was both annoyed and amused. "Look closely. I am your father." Su Bei looked at the beast form before him, which had a human face and body and was wearing deer antlers just like himself. His eyes widened, and he immediately burst into tears again. "Since you're not a stray beast, why haven't you come to look for us for so long? They all said we are monsters born to a stray beast, and no one wanted to play with us or even hit us." "Who said that? I'll go kill them right now." Su Bei stopped talking. "I'm sorry you've suffered these past few years. Your father has been in secluded cultivation, in a deep sleep, and only broke through today. As soon as I sensed your existence, I came to find you immediately. Before this, I was clueless about many things. But when I see you, the feeling of a blood connection cannot be wrong." Su Bei raised his head, looking at Bai Zai, trying to discern the truth of his words. "What is your name?" Su Bei now believed that he was his father. Bai Zai should be glad he met Su Bei, who was protected by his 2 elder brothers since childhood, preventing him from completely despising his father. "My name is Bai Zai. From now on, you don't have to be afraid, and no one will bully you anymore. I'm Su Bei. I got separated from my mother." As he spoke, tears welled up again. His mother must be very worried. He had to quickly return to her side. Bai Zai reached out his tongue and gently licked away the tears on Su Bei's face. "Where did you get separated? I'll take you to find her." Bai Zai brought Su Bei to the Yuzu tribe. Su Bei held tightly onto Bai Zai's mane, his heart full of excitement at the prospect of seeing his mother and brothers soon. Bai Zai felt the small creature's unease on his back. "Don't be afraid. You'll see your mother soon." Upon reaching the Yuzu tribe before nightfall, the sentry of the Yuzu tribe was startled to see the sudden appearance of Bai Zai and Su Bei, their eyes wide. They let out a cry into the air, "Unknown beasts have trespassed!" In an instant, the Yuzu beastmen rushed out and surrounded them. Seeing Su Bei, a gasp erupted from the crowd. "Isn't that Su Bei? Why is he back?" We heard he was captured by the Scorpion Beastmen and thought he was gone for good. Subei slid off Baizei's back, looking nervously at the familiar yet strange Yuzu people. Baizei transformed into his human form and stood behind Subei, emitting an intimidating aura of quiet power as he coldly scanned the surrounding Yuzu people. Just then, the Yuzu priestess hurried over. Seeing Subei, a hint of pleasant surprise flashed in her eyes, quickly replaced by confusion. "Subei, why are you back alone, and who is this?" Subei sniffled, gathering his courage to speak. "This is my father, Baizei. He brought me back to find my mother." "Priestess, do you know where my mother and brothers are?" The priestess's expression changed slightly, and after a moment of hesitation, she spoke. "Your mother and uncle Zhongming went to the Sandlands to look for you. Didn't you meet them?" Baizei was surprised to hear that they had gone to the Sandlands, his territory. Just then, a heavy rain started falling from the sky. He had planned to take Subei back to his territory, but Subei was weak and might not be able to withstand the elements, so he followed the priestess to the nearest wooden house on the outskirts of the tribe to shelter from the rain. The moment Baizei's name was spoken, the priestess guessed his identity. She hadn't expected Subei's father to be Baizei, the Lord of the Sandlands. "Lord Baizei, this heavy rain came so suddenly, I'm afraid it won't stop anytime soon. Little Subei is weak and might not be able to endure this wind and rain. It would be better to wait until the rain stops before leaving." The priestess's tone was sincere, and as she spoke, she gently stroked Subei's damp head. Baizei nodded in agreement. This was a good opportunity to learn about the place where his cub lived. "Take me to the house where they live." Baizei stared out the window at the rain, silently calculating the time Su Yao and the others entered the Sandlands and the potential dangers they might encounter. "Will my mother and them be in danger? It's all my fault. If I hadn't been caught," he said, tears welling up in his eyes. Baizei lifted Subei and placed him on his arm. "This is not your fault. We will set off immediately as soon as the rain stops." The house was small but well equipped, and the whole place exuded a very comforting scent. Baizei was even more eager to see his Su Yao. "Father, will you leave once we find mother?" Subei's small claws nervously clutched his clothes. Although they had only been together for a few days, he liked this father. "No, but if your mother—" He stopped mid-sentence, not daring to continue. Baizei stroked the fur on his back. "If your mother doesn't like me being around, will Xiao Bei speak up for his father?" Subei was conflicted. He couldn't bear to leave this father, but he loved his mother more. Lost in thought, Subei fell asleep in Baizei's warm embrace. Baizei was almost sleepless that night, his gaze fixed on the storm-ravaged world outside the window. The next morning, Subei slowly opened his eyes and quickly jumped out of bed to check the window. He expected to see a clear sky, but what greeted his eyes was an even more terrifying sight. Hailstones the size of fists rained down, hitting the ground with a dull, chilling sound. Subei's little face instantly turned pale, and tears welled up in his eyes again. He tightly grasped Baizei's clothes. "Father, what about mother and them? With such big hailstones, will they?" Baizei gently patted Subei's back. "Don't worry, your mother and the others will be fine." To ease Subei's anxiety, Baizei thought for a moment and quietly asked, "Xiao Bei, would you like to transform?" Subei was slightly taken aback when he heard this, and then a spark of longing flashed in his eyes. "Can I transform? I heard transformation is very difficult." Baizei stroked his little head. "Of course you can with your father here. Once you successfully transform, you can start cultivating. Transformation requires the father's blood and a special transformation grass. The transformation grass is extremely precious and grows on cliffs. Baizei just happened to have some transformation grass." Baizei placed the transformation grass in a bowl. He carefully cut his wrists lightly, and bright red blood slowly flowed out, dripping into the bowl containing the transformation grass. The grass and blood mixed, continuously churning and emitting a strange light. He held the bowl out to Subei. "Xiao Bei, drink this." Subei looked at the glowing liquid, feeling both nervous and expectant. He took the bowl, gritted his teeth, and quickly drank it all. As soon as he finished drinking, Subei felt like his belly was on fire. A rush of heat forcefully surged through his body, and his bones and flesh felt like they were being pounded by something. It was excruciatingly painful, and he curled up on the ground, trembling uncontrollably. Subei's pain cries pierced the air. Baizei didn't move closer, standing by the window and quietly watching the transformation. The painful cries finally stopped. The white light surrounding Subei gradually dissipated, revealing a 5- or 6-year-old boy, plump and utterly adorable. Subei looked at his small hands. With novelty and excitement, moving one finger, then the next. After moving his fingers, he pinched his cheek, feeling his new body after the transformation. Father, I succeeded! He eagerly stood up, but due to his unfamiliarity with the new body, he nearly fell. Baizé quickly supported him. Your body needs some time to adapt. He tightly grasped Baizé's arm, trembling slightly with excitement. He would no longer be called a monster by others because of his appearance. Father, the rain has stopped. Let's go find Mother and the brothers. Baizé handed him a fur coat he had made. Subei's hands trembled as he accepted the first fur coat he had ever received from his father. The fur was soft and thick, warm to the touch. Is this really for me? Baizé reached out and gently pinched his cheek. If not for you, then who? Hurry up and put it on. We're going to find your mother. Subei nodded quickly. Baizé transformed into his beast form and shook his white wings, signaling him to climb up. The wind whistled in their ears. Subei looked at the dark forest below, feeling both nervous and excited. Riding on his father's back felt completely different. The heavy rain started again. Subei expected to be soaked to the bone, but to his surprise, the rainwater was perfectly kept away from him. He saw a soft glow emanating from Baizé's body, which formed a space to shelter them from the rain. Father, is this your ability? That's amazing. Subei's eyes were full of awe and pride. A child's energy is always limited. Before long, Subei lay draped over his antlers and fell asleep. When he woke up again, it was already bright. Baizé instructed him to transform into his beast form and hunt, releasing his Beast King pressure to deter the surrounding predatory beasts. Subei looked at the mountain goat, which was many times bigger than him. His claws nervously scratched the ground. Seeing this, Baizé quickly encouraged him. Xiaobei, you can do it. Your father will be watching from the side and won't let anything happen to you. This is a necessary path for your growth. Only by learning to hunt can you protect yourself and your mother in the future. Thinking of his mother, a surge of courage welled up in Subei's heart. He arched his body, letting out a low growl from his throat, attempting to intimidate the mountain goat before him. The mountain goat sensed the threat from the Beast King and nervously pawed the ground, letting out a bleeding sound. Subei pounced suddenly, but due to his inexperience and panic, he missed the goat and stumbled onto the ground. Subei quickly scrambled up and pounced again. Baizé observed quietly from the side, without interrupting. 10 minutes later, Subei slowly circled the mountain goat, searching for the best moment to attack. Suddenly, he seized the moment when the mountain goat turned, launching his attack. His sharp claws viciously raked the goat's back, using the momentum to flip over and bite its neck. The mountain goat struggled even more violently, but Subei held on tightly until the goat stopped moving before he let go. Subei looked at his trophy, an indescribable sense of accomplishment welling up in his heart. Father, I did it. He excitedly called out to Baizé, the joy in his voice irrepressible. Baizé, in his beast form, walked over with a satisfied look, licking Subei's head and wiping the blood from his mouth. You will become stronger and stronger in the future. Listening to his father's praise, Subei's tail wagged happily. He tilted his head and rubbed against Baizé's fluffy neck. Next, Baizé began to teach Subei how to process the prey. After processing the prey, Subei and Baizé found a spot and built a fire, placing the meat over the flames to roast. Subei kept his eyes on the meat on the grill, eagerly anticipating the taste of his labor. Suddenly, Baizé's expression turned serious. He received a distress signal from the Shahe tribe. His brows furrowed, and a hint of confusion flashed in his eyes. With him presiding over the Shahe tribe, no one dared to offend it. Why would it be suddenly attacked? The first thing the woman did after her rebirth was to search everywhere for a crow. This crow had the ability to foresee the future. The woman used this ability to help many tribes avoid disasters, thus attracting a circle of powerful figures who flocked to her. She hadn't expected Su Yao to get to the crow first after her rebirth. At this moment, Xia Yue stared at the crow feather on Su Yao's shoulder. This bird of yours looks familiar. I used to keep one, but it flew away. I wonder where you got yours. Su Yao looked at Xia Yue warily. Xia Yue was the reborn female protagonist with precognitive abilities. According to the plot, she should be in the tiger tribe in the central city. Su Yao wondered why she was here in the Sandlands. Hearing her words, Wu Yu, the crow, nervously fluttered its wings. It didn't recognize this female, nor did it like the way she looked at it. Su Yao soothingly stroked Wu Yu. That's a pity. This is my cub. He has lived with me since he was little. Why does he look so much like the one I lost? Is he called Wu Yu? Su Yao's fingers paused slightly. The Saintess is joking. My cub is called Su Yu. However, the Saintess was not about to give up. Wu Yu, don't you remember me? It seemed she was planning to snatch Wu Yu. I don't know you. And my name isn't Wu Yu. Didn't you hear my mother say I'm called Su Yu? Wu Yu poked its head out of Su Yao's pocket and said angrily. Although it didn't know how she knew its name, no one was going to take it away from its mother. Saintess Xie Yu, could it be that you lost your pet and are trying to snatch my cub? Zhu Ying, seeing the situation, instantly teleported to stand next to Su Yao. The Shahe tribe leader quickly chuckled, breaking the tense atmosphere. It's getting late. I'll arrange for the tribe members to prepare food for everyone, and then you can all rest well. With that, he ordered the beastmen next to him to make preparations. After exchanging a few more pleasantries with everyone, he left with the Saintess. After they left, Zhang Kun's face darkened. This Saintess clearly has bad intentions. We must be more careful. Is Wu Yu really hers? Wu Yu came out of Su Yao's pocket and shook its head, stating with certainty, I'm sure I've never seen her, but I don't know how she knew my name. When everyone learned that Wu Yu had the ability to foresee disasters, they realized why the so-called Saintess was so interested in him. Remember, from now on he is Su Yu. Don't call him by the wrong name. Su Yao turned to the little crow, Su Yu, and quietly asked, Do you like the name Su Yu? Wu Yu nodded. Yes, I like it. This name immediately shows that I am mother's child. Su Yao wasn't afraid of Xia Yue. However, as the female protagonist, she had a protagonist halo, meaning she could turn any danger into safety. It was best to be careful when dealing with her. Saintess Xia Yue returned to her cave. Thinking about Wu Yu and the female's close relationship, the fire of jealousy burned even fiercer in her heart. Wu Yu was clearly hers. Why did that wicked female, Su Yao, get the advantage? She recalled her previous life, where Wu Yu was her most capable pet. Relying on Wu Yu's precognitive abilities, she had flourished in the tiger tribe. After her rebirth, she immediately sent people to search for Wu Yu everywhere, only to have that wicked female, Su Yao, get there first. Thinking of this, Xia Yue was furious. The reason why Su Yao left such a deep impression on her was because of Su Yao's 3 cubs. In her previous life, those 3 cubs were tormented by Su Yao, and eventually turned dark, torturing Su Yao to death. Finally, the Beast King of the Sandlands recognized them as his bloodline and took them in, raising them carefully. The Sand King, Baizi's, strength was even greater than the 4 city lords of the central city. He was the male she couldn't obtain in her previous life. Therefore, after her rebirth, Baizi became her first choice. For this, she didn't hesitate to abandon everything in the tiger tribe and travel thousands of miles to get here. Relying on her memories of her previous life, she helped the people here improve their lives, hoping to win the Sand King's favor. But after being here for so long, she hadn't even met the Sand King. What made her even more confused was that Su Yao seemed like a different person in this life, inexplicably appearing here, accompanied by the cubs she had once despised and beaten. Did Su Yao also undergo a rebirth? And did she know that the cubs' father was the Sand King? She remembered that in her previous life, Su Yao never managed to leave that small tribe until her death. In this life, not only has her personality changed, but she is also followed by Zhang Kun and Zhu Ying, both Beast Kings. In her previous life, they had been chasing after her. In this life, they were utterly devoted to Su Yao, that wicked female. What made her angrier was that Zhang Kun was already marked. In her heart, Zhang Kun had long been her personal property. Xia Ye grew increasingly angry. No, she absolutely couldn't let this go. She had to get Wu Yu back. The Sandlands Beast King was also hers. Zhang Kun was spoiled, so she could do without him, but Zhu Ying had to be hers. In her previous life, the snake tribe was almost wiped out, and it was her who managed to solve their problem. Thinking of this, she immediately decided to go and see Zhu Ying. Zhu Ying looked at Xia Yue coldly. What are you doing here? Xia Yue casually closed the door. No need to be so defensive. I'm here to tell you something important. It concerns the safety of your snake tribe. Zhu Ying stood with his arms crossed, saying nothing. Xia Yue lowered her voice mysteriously. It concerns the life and death of the snake tribe. Are you sure you won't listen? Zhu Ying unconsciously straightened up. Speak quickly. Quote, "After the cold season, a very rare disease will break out in the snake tribe. This disease is highly contagious, and once it erupts, the entire tribe will be lost." Hearing this, Zhu Ying's expression suddenly changed, a flicker of panic in his eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. "How do you know this?" Xiaoyu looked smug. "I am a saintess who can communicate with the beast god, so naturally the beast god told me. The beast god also informed me how to resolve this crisis." "Tell me your condition." Zhu Ying played with his long red hair, his tone casual. A flash of greed crossed Xiaoyu's eyes. "I only help my own people. If you are willing to stay by my side, I can save your tribe." Zhu Ying couldn't help but sneer at this. "Do you think I'll believe that? The priest is already calculated for them, and Su Yao is the true benefactor of their tribe." Jia Yu's face stiffened, but she was still unwilling to give up. Before she could speak, Zhu Ying coldly interrupted her. "If you come any closer, I don't mind sending you out the door." Xia Yue dared not move. This snake beast man, Zhu Ying, was indeed capable of anything. If she was thrown out sideways, how could she gain a foothold in the tribe later? At this moment, Su Yao was asleep when she suddenly heard a rustling sound. She felt around beside her. Thankfully, Su Nan and Su Mo were still there. The rustling continued. She took out a power lamp from her dimensional space and turned it on. Her pupils instantly widened. The floor was covered with dense, black scorpions, each the size of a palm, with long, sharp, raised tails. Su Yao sucked in a cold breath and quickly called out for Zhang Kun. However, the only reply was the rustling sound of the scorpions crawling. Su Nan and Su Mo had awakened at some point, their eyes wide with fear at the sight. "Be good. Stay put and don't move. These scorpions are venomous. Don't step on the floor yet." Su Yao forced herself to stay calm, using a gentle voice to reassure Su Nan and Su Mo. Her hands were trembling, but she fought off her fear and pulled out a flamethrower from her space, aiming it at the approaching scorpions. With a few bursts of fire, the scorpions charging at the front were instantly engulfed in flames. A charred smell filled the air, but this only enraged them, and more scorpions rushed forward, scrambling over each other. Zhang Kun was absent, and Zhu Ying was nowhere to be found. She had to face this terrifying crisis alone. She continuously adjusted the angle of the flamethrower, spraying flames repeatedly to try and block the scorpions' attack. But the sheer number of scorpions was too much. Su Yao's eyes were resolute as her mind raced for a way out. "Xiaonan, Amo, do you see the window? Jump out from there." Su Yao used the flamethrower to clear a path for them. Su Nan was smart and incredibly fast. Before the scorpions could react, he had already reached the window and leaped out successfully. Su Mo was a little slower, and his tail was clamped by a scorpion. Su Yao continuously fired the flamethrower, pushing back the scorpions surrounding Su Mo slightly. Su Mo's eyes were red. He endured his fear and desperately twisted his body, trying to pull his tail free from the scorpion's pincers. But the scorpion was incredibly strong, its pincers clamped tight, and he couldn't shake it off. Seeing that he couldn't jump out, Su Yao jumped off the bed, rushed to Su Mo's side, picked him up, and tossed him out the window. Su Yao quickly leaped out the window as well. The scorpion on Su Mo's tail had already been pulled off and crushed by Su Nan. Seeing the two little ones safe and sound, Su Yao finally relaxed. She turned to face the room full of scorpions, took out a small black sphere from her space, threw it inside, quickly closed the window, and ran away, carrying one cub in each hand. She ran straight into Zhang Kun, who had just arrived. Learning that Zhang Kun had been lured away by a strange sound, Su Yao pieced together the events of the night and quickly determined they had fallen victim to a consecutive trap. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have left you alone. Are you hurt?" Zhang Kun's voice was filled with intense guilt. Su Yao knew there was a reason for his absence, and her anger subsided a little. "I'm fine, but Wu Yu is missing." Zhang Kun's eyes instantly turned cold. It must be that saintess. Just then, Zhu Ying also arrived. He looked at the scorpions in the house, then at Su Yao and the cubs. What happened? He had assumed that with Zhang Kun present, he could protect Su Yao and the three cubs, so he had snuck into Xia Yue's cave to check the situation, never expecting something like this to happen. Su Yao looked at Zhu Ying. "Su Yu is missing. Go demand him from their saintess. If you don't get him, then smash this place up." Zhu Ying nodded and vanished in a flash. More and more tribal beastmen heard the commotion and came out. Soon, the open space outside Su Yao's house was packed with people. A moment later, Zhu Ying returned. He was holding Xia Yue with one hand and threw her directly onto the ground. Xia Yue fell miserably into the dust, a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. Su Yao didn't see the familiar little crow, and her mind was in chaos. Zhu Ying, where is Su Yu? Zhu Ying shook his head. Didn't find him. Su Yao's head instantly exploded when she heard this. A surge of hot blood rushed to her head. She rushed forward a few steps and slapped Xia Yue across the face twice. Xia Yue's cheeks immediately swelled up. Where exactly is Su Yu? Where did you hide him? Su Yao's eyes were bloodshot with rage, and her strikes became increasingly brutal. She had long regarded the well-behaved and unassuming Wu Yu as her own child. Xia Yu was beaten and turned her head away, a strange smile on her lips. Want to know where that little cub is? Go guess. This statement completely ignited Su Yao's fury. She raised her leg and kicked Xia Yue. Xia Yue was unable to dodge and was directly sent sprawling. The Shahe tribe beastmen could no longer hold back. The young beastmen, who had been restrained earlier, rushed forward first, their ancient blades fiercely stabbing toward Zhu Ying, who was closest to Su Yao. Zhu Ying effortlessly sidestepped and countered with a punch to the beastman's chest. The beastman grunted and flew backward like a kite with a broken string. The next moment, all the tribe's beastmen mobilized and began attacking the trio. As beast kings, Zhang Kun and Zhu Ying radiated a powerful, inherent aura. They handled the Shahe tribe beastmen, who were far inferior in strength, with ease. Zhang Kun spread his enormous wings, each flap creating a gust of wind that sent the charging beastmen staggering. At this point, the leader of the Shahe tribe finally rushed over. Seeing the tribe grounds in shambles, the leader felt his vision swim and nearly fainted. His gaze swept over the injured tribesmen. Then he looked at Zhang Kun and Zhu Ying. Why are you causing such chaos and injuring people in my Shahe tribe? We kindly took you in, and this is how you repay us? Although the Shahe tribe leader was strong, he was rendered immobile by the powerful pressure exerted by the two beast kings, Zhang Kun and Zhu Ying. Su Yao grabbed his collar. Hand over, Su Yu! Where exactly did you hide him? If anything happens to my cub, none of you will have an easy time. She held a short knife horizontally, the sharp blade pressed tightly against the leader's neck. Just a little more pressure would cut his throat. If you want your leader to be safe, you'd better release my cub. What? A cub is missing? Isn't your cub right there? The leader felt wrongly accused. He didn't even know why they were fighting. At this moment, Xia Yue, who had been hiding on the side, suddenly let out a piercing laugh. He doesn't know anything, and you're asking him for that little cub. Hearing this, Su Yao's gaze, like a knife, shot towards Saintess Xia Yue. It was you who hid him, wasn't it? Xia Yue raised her head, her eyes full of triumph. So what if it was? Who told him he wouldn't be used by me? I could only deal with him. Su Yao rushed to Saintess Xia Yue, kicked her down, and put a foot on her back. Quote, tell me, where exactly is Su Yu? If you don't say it now, I'll kill you immediately. Go ahead and kill me if you dare. Otherwise, you'll never find him for the rest of your life. Su Yao knelt down, the cold blade lightly touching Xia Yue's cheek. You're not afraid of death, are you? Then I wonder if you're afraid of being disfigured. Xia Yu's face went pale. She spoke with a trembling voice. He is hidden in a deep cave in the Sandlands. Without me to guide you, you will never find him. Su Yao grabbed her collar, her gaze menacing. You think you can threaten me like this? If anything happens to Su Yu, I'll make sure you experience what it's like to die without a complete corpse. Outside, Zhang Kun and Zhu Ying looked at the paralyzed Shahe tribe beastmen on the ground. We are not unreasonable people. It's just that your saintess stole our cub, and we were forced to act. You can only blame her for harming someone she shouldn't have. The leader was full of sorrow and fell to his knees with a thud. Two beast kings, please calm your anger. It is my failure to properly govern, but most of the tribe is innocent. Please spare them. To avoid the destruction of his tribe, he could only continuously beg for mercy. Su Yao pressed down on Saintess Xia Yue. Stop the nonsense now. Hurry up and take us to find Su Yu. If he has any mishap, your entire tribe will be buried with him. Seeing that everyone's attention was on Xia Yue and Su Yao, the leader quietly instructed a trusted person. Quickly go to the Central Sandlands tribe and ask Beast King Bai Zi for help. Tell him our tribe has been maliciously attacked. Following the order, a beastman, under the cover of the sand dunes, transformed into his beast form and burrowed into the sand. Xia Yu didn't genuinely intend to lead them to Su Yu. Just as Xia Yue changed her mind midway and tried to escape, Bai Zhe arrived with Su Bei. Su Bei smelled Su Yao from afar. The moment Bai Zhe stopped, Su Bei jumped off impatiently and ran toward the direction of the scent. Bai Zhe was startled and quickly followed. Su Bei weaved through the crowd and finally saw Su Yao surrounded by everyone. His eyes instantly turned red, and he shouted, "Mother!" before pouncing toward Su Yao. Su Yao heard the familiar voice and subconsciously turned her head. Before her was not the Su Bei she had been longing for, but a delicate-looking little boy. "Little friend, did you mistake me for someone else?" Su Bei was distraught, and tears instantly welled up in his eyes. "Mother, I'm Su Bei. Why don't you recognize me?" Su Yao looked at the agitated little boy, both surprised and confused. She looked closely and noticed he had the same light gray eyes as Su Bei. "Mother, do you not want Xiao Bei anymore? Should I not have transformed? Is it because I transformed that mother doesn't want me?" Hearing this, Su Yao was amazed and touched Su Bei's small face. "Are you really my Su Bei?" Su Nan and Su Mo heard the commotion and ran over, circling Su Bei twice. Su Nan's eyes widened in disbelief. "Su Bei, you transformed! Big brother, second brother, I missed you so much," Su Bei cried out tearfully, his voice full of grievance and longing. "Big brother, second brother, mother doesn't recognize me. Quickly tell mother that I am Su Bei." Su Yao's eyes instantly filled with tears. Without waiting for the two little ones to speak, she opened her arms and hugged Su Bei tightly. "Xiao Bei, it really is you! It's so good that you are safe. How did you find this place?" "Xiao Bei, mother, Afu brought me." Hearing this, Su Yao looked confused. Bai Zhe stepped forward. He looked at the unfamiliar female before him, feeling no rejection but an inexplicable joy, yet he couldn't find her in his memories. Su Yao put down the hugging Su Bei and stood up. "Who exactly are you? Why is my cub with you?" Zhang Kun and Zhu Ying also flashed to stand beside her. Bai Zhe opened his mouth but didn't know how to answer. "Mother, he's Afu. He saved me." Zhang Kun and Zhu Ying exchanged glances, both seeing surprise in the other's eyes. They hadn't seen Bai Zhe's beast form and hadn't connected the three cubs' father to him. Su Yao frowned tightly. "I don't know you. Whatever relationship we had before, it's over now." Just as Bai Zhe was about to speak, the leader rushed to Bai Zhe with an anxious face. "Your Highness, please uphold justice for us. They started fighting the moment they arrived at the tribe. Look," he turned and pointed heartbrokenly at the devastation of the tribe. "Our tribe is so damaged by them, and many tribesmen are seriously injured." Bai Zhe's gaze swept over the ruins. Then he looked at Zhang Kun and Zhu Ying, his expression serious. "What exactly is going on? Why did you attack the Shahe tribe?" Zhu Ying let out a cold snort. "They laid hands on our female. It's only our kindness that we didn't completely annihilate them. Their tribe's scorpion beastmen kidnapped Su Bei and then put venomous scorpions in Su Yao's room, almost costing them their lives. We demand an explanation today." The leader immediately waved his hands upon hearing this. "This must be a misunderstanding. The scorpion beastmen in the tribe only obey the Saintess's orders. I truly have no knowledge of such malicious acts." Su Bei poked his head out of Su Yao's embrace and angrily said, "It was them. I remember the appearance of those scorpion beastmen." Su Yao soothingly stroked his head. "Let's put aside Su Bei's kidnapping for now. Stealing Su Yu and then putting venomous scorpions in my room to try and kill me and my cub. Surely you can't deny that." "Don't talk nonsense. How could we do such a thing?" The leader was suddenly frantic. "If you just take a look at our room, you wouldn't say such a thing." Bai Zhe followed the direction she pointed. He saw that the floor of her room was covered with densely packed, dead black scorpions. "What exactly is going on?" Bai Zhe's voice carried an immense sense of oppression. The leader was startled. "Your Highness, I really don't know. We have no idea where these scorpions came from." Su Yao couldn't be bothered to listen to him. She interrupted directly. "Whether you did it or not, all I want now is to find my cub." Hearing this, Bai Zhe's eyes turned cold. An invisible pressure surged toward the leader. "You also hid his cub? It's not my fault. Saintess Xia Yue captured him." "Since when did the Sandlands have a Saintess? Why don't I know?" The leader pointed at Xia Yue in a panic. "She is the Saintess of our tribe." When Xia Yue saw Bai Zhe arrive with Su Bei, her heart sank, and she only wanted to escape. In her previous life, they had never met. Why was it like this now? Could it be that her rebirth had caused the plot to deviate? It seemed Baize already knew that they were his children. If they recognized each other, what was the point of her efforts over the years? She absolutely couldn't let them be together. Baize slightly raised his finger, and instantly, a stream of water wrapped around Xiaoyu's body. The next second, she was pulled in front of him. "So you are the one who captured my cub?" Xiaoyu suppressed her fear, slightly turned to show her most beautiful profile. "He's not your cub. He's the child that female Su Yao had with him," she said, pointing at Zhang Kun. Zhang Kun was quite surprised to be dragged into it by Xiaoyu, but he not only didn't refute it, but even nodded when Baize looked at him. Baize smelled Su Yao's scent on him, and they even had a mate mark. "You had better hand him over now, or the consequences are not something you can bear." Xiaoyu trembled all over, intimidated by Baize's powerful aura. "I'm helping you eliminate the child of your love rival. Shouldn't you thank me?" Baize was amused, his laugh devoid of warmth. He increased the strength in his hand a little. "Is this how you'd like to be thanked?" Xiaoyu felt like she was suffocating. "Kill me if you dare. If I die, you'll be punished too." Hearing this, Baize's lips curved into a cold arc. "You are not qualified to threaten me." As soon as he finished speaking, his fingertip moved slightly. The stream of water wrapped around Xiaoyu's neck instantly became tighter, and at the same time, an intense coldness invaded her body along the waterline. A thin layer of frost quickly condensed on the surface of Xiaoyu's skin. Zhu Ying looked at Zhang Kun in shock. Water and ice dual-element ability. Xiaoyu was so frozen that she couldn't speak, only letting out continuous, broken whimpers. "Do you still think I don't dare to kill you now?" Baize's voice echoed faintly in her ear. "Aren't you afraid of the beast god's wrath?" The response was a cold chuckle. Xiao trembled in pain, her consciousness beginning to blur. The instinct for survival made her hold onto the last sliver of clarity, filled with deep regret. If only she had known Baize's methods were so vicious, she would have stayed honestly in the tiger tribe and remained the saintess revered by thousands. That would have been so much better. "I hid him under the sand pool. Without my guidance, you won't be able to find him at all." Baize's eyes grew colder. He flicked his wrist, and the waterline tightened again. Xiaoyu was tormented to the brink of death. She was truly scared. "I didn't lie to you. The cave entrance is covered by quicksand. You won't find it without me leading the way." Baize controlled the waterline to drag Xiaoyu up from the ground. "If you want to die, I don't mind helping you." Xiaoyu dared not struggle this time and led them toward her cave. Moments later, they arrived at the edge of the sand pool. Baize stared intently at Xiaoyu. "If Suyu isn't found, today will be your dead end." "Right here! It's right here!" Xiaoyu, trembling, went to the edge of the sand pool and frantically dug away the quicksand with her hands. As the quicksand scattered, a faint cave entrance gradually appeared. Zhang Kun ignited flames on his fingertip, illuminating the space. Finally, they discovered Suyu in the deepest part of the cave. The little crow was huddled in a corner, his feathers messy and covered in bloodstains and sand. His originally colorful black feathers were now dull, with only faint breathing confirming he was still alive. Su Yao gasped and rushed to Suyu, carefully cupping him in her hands. "Xiaoyu, wake up!" Her hands trembled as she gently stroked Suyu's feathers, her voice choked. Then, a gentle healing energy slowly flowed into Wu Yu's body. Zhang Kun looked at the dying Suyu, then spun around abruptly, grabbing Xiaoyu's collar. "You dare to hurt him!" Xiaoyu's face was deathly pale. "I didn't intend to kill him. I just wanted to..." Before she could finish, Zhang Kun interrupted. "No excuse can justify you harming him." Suddenly, a terrifying creaking sound came from the ceiling of the cave. Large and small rocks fell one after another, crashing onto the ground and kicking up choking dust. "The cave is collapsing! Get out quickly!" Just as they rescued Wu Yu from danger, the cave behind them instantly collapsed with a thunderous roar. In that instant, the earth shook violently, the surface cracking like broken tiles, accompanied by the grating sound of rocks grinding. A colossal figure that blocked the sky and sun slowly crawled out from deep underground. Crimson eyes glowed with a terrifying, fierce light. Baize quickly cast a spell, erecting a waterwood barrier around them to defend against the surging sand waves. Just then, a huge sand beast lunged out of the desert. Its entire body was covered in hard, sandy armor. "It's a fierce beast!" Don't let it escape! A fierce beast is a half-beast man not recognized by the beast god and unable to transform. Zhong Kun handed Su Mo and Su Yao to Zhu Ying and formally charged at the sand beast. The flames around him transformed into blades of fire, slashing at the fierce beast. By the light of the flames, he saw Xia Yue on the beast's back. Xia Yue had actually colluded with the fierce beast. Zhong Kun rushed toward the fierce beast. The fire blade struck the hard, sandy armor on the beast's hindquarters, only sparking and causing no substantial damage. Zhong Kun's pupils contracted. "An 8-star fierce beast!" Xia Yue patted the beast's neck and shouted, "You just wait!" The fierce beast roared, turned, and prepared to leave. Zhong Kun's flames transformed into countless fire arrows, shooting toward the beast. The fierce beast twisted its body flexibly, dodging most of the arrows, but a few hit its legs. It staggered in midair, but continued flying. Zhong Kun took the opportunity to accelerate sharply, the flames condensing into a giant fire fist that blasted toward the fierce beast. The fierce beast could not dodge and was hit by the fire fist. Zhong Kun gathered his strongest blow again, a massive pillar of flame shooting towards the beast. Feeling the fatal threat, the fierce beast launched a lethal attack at Zhong Kun. In the brief moment Zhong Kun was occupied with defense, the beast escaped underground with Xia Yue. By the time Zhong Kun reacted, it was too late to pursue, so he flapped his wings and returned to Su Yao's side. "Uncle Zhong Kun is so amazing!" Su Nan and Su Mo circled him. Zhong Kun raised his hand and rubbed their heads. "It's a pity we let them escape." Su Yao nodded, not overly surprised. After all, she was the female lead. She always managed to survive. Baizi watched them and pursed his lips. A small hand quietly took his large one. "Ah Fu is amazing too." He chuckled and scooped Su Bei into his arms with one hand. Under the nourishment of Su Yao's healing energy, Su Yu's breathing gradually stabilized, but there was still no sign of waking. Su Yao's original purpose for coming to the Sandlands was to find Su Bei. Now that Su Bei was found and Su Yu was safe, she planned to return tomorrow. Just then, Baizi suggested, "How about staying at my tribe first? We can go back after Su Yu fully recovers." He had finally found them and hadn't yet sorted out their relationship, so he didn't want to let them leave just yet. Su Yao opened her mouth to refuse, but Baizi immediately added, "Don't you want these two to transform?" Su Yao looked at Su Nan and Su Mo and fell silent. Zhong Kun had said that cubs needed their father's blood to transform. If they missed this chance, who knew when the next would be? Also, I want to know about our past. Don't you want to know? This time, Su Yao couldn't refuse. She also wanted to know if she was truly the birth mother of Su Nan and Su Mo. Su Yao looked at Zhong Kun and Zhu Ying. Zhong Kun smiled in response. "We can go take a look." Zhu Ying didn't object. Thus, the group followed Baizi, flying toward the central Sandlands tribe. Su Nan and Su Mo lay on Zhong Kun's back, secretly observing Baizi in front. "Is that really our Afu? Isn't he a rogue beast?" If he wasn't, why did he let them be bullied by the tribe, ignoring them for so many years? Recalling the years of hardship and exclusion in the tribe, a flicker of anger flashed in Su Nan and Su Mo's eyes. The sight of the malice they had endured in the tribe continuously replayed in their minds. In heavy snow, other children had warm animal skin tents and the protection of their Afu and Amu, while they could only huddle together for warmth in a cold corner. Su Nan's voice trembled slightly. "Should we acknowledge him now that he's appeared?" Su Mo was silent for a long time, then slowly said, "I don't know. Actually, Afu is very nice. He's been cultivating all these years. That's why he didn't come out to find us." Su Bei, who had been in contact with Baizi for a few days, began explaining on behalf of his father. Hearing this, Su Nan's eyes turned red with urgency, staring intently at Su Bei. "Su Bei, did he buy you off just like that? Have you forgotten what kind of life we lived all these years?" His voice was slightly shaky with emotion. If he were a rogue beast, their neglect wouldn't feel so harsh, but he wasn't. Su Bei flinched at the sudden anger. "I wasn't bought off. Afu is really good to me. He taught me a lot of skills and said he would never let me be bullied again." He pouted tearfully. Su Mo looked at Su Nan. "Big brother, don't be angry. He saved Xiao Bei no matter what. If Xiao Bei says he's good, he probably isn't too bad. He disappeared for so long, and now he suddenly shows up and is nice to Xiao Bei. Does that make up for his years of neglect?" Su Nan's eyes were full of mockery. "If he really cared about us, why wouldn't he come looking for us for so many years?" After speaking, He turned his head away. His bristling fur showed his emotions were still highly volatile. Su Yao sighed softly. Enough. Whether he is or not, let's treat him the same as before. Su Yao turned to Su Bei. Zhao Bei, Xiao Nan isn't truly angry at you. He's just feeling wronged. Emu knows you've suffered a lot these years, but maybe your Efu has his own difficulties? She could tell the cubs longed for a father's love, and were simply struggling to accept their father's sudden appearance. Su Nan's body slightly stiffened, but he didn't turn back. What difficulty could be more important than his own cubs? He is a beast king, revered by countless people. He could have made our lives easy with just one word. But where was he when we were bullied and called freaks? Big brother, second brother. Afu is really nice. This outfit I'm wearing was handmade by Afu. Su Nan grew even angrier upon hearing this. One piece of clothing was enough to buy you off. You're too cheap. Su Mo saw Su Nan's heightened emotions and quietly advised. Big brother, don't be like this. Xiao Bei just wants us to know that Afu is good. Su Nan suddenly flung Su Mo's claw away. Why are you taking his side too? Have you forgotten the days we starved and froze? Have you forgotten when we were chased and beaten by the tribe kids and called fatherless bastards? After the words left his mouth, he regretted it slightly. He turned his head away from Su Mo's hurt eyes. Stop arguing, everyone. We're almost at Bai Zai's tribe. Zhong Kan couldn't help but interject. Some things can't be guessed. It's not too late to judge after we listen to his explanation. Uncle Zhongkun, are you going to take his side too? Don't you want to be our father anymore? Su Nan's eyes got redder hearing Zhongkun's words. Uncle wants to be with your Emu and take care of you, but I won't stop you from acknowledging your birth father. It gives Uncle peace of mind to have one more person protecting you. Su Nan's eyes were redder still after hearing Zhongkun's words. I don't want to hear his explanation. He ignored us for so many years, and now he comes back pretending to be a good father. He was angry and confused. Zhongkun's words had shaken his inner defense, but years of resentment made it hard to let go. Su Bei peeked his head out timidly from Su Yao's arms. Big brother, don't be angry. Afu really misses you. His voice was soft, afraid Su Nan would jump up and yell at him again. Zhongkun sensed Su Nan's emotions had calmed down a lot and gently comforted him again. Uncle understands how you feel. You've suffered too much these years. It's normal to have anger and resentment. But Bai Zai may have his own difficulties. Perhaps listening to him will give you a different perspective. Su Nan was silent for a long time before speaking. I don't care what difficulties he had. He shouldn't have abandoned us. Despite the distance, Bai Zai's strength allowed him to hear the conversation between Su Nan and the others. Hearing Su Nan's words, full of anger and grievance, his heart felt tightly clenched by an invisible hand. Bai Zai tried hard not to look back, leading the group toward the depths of the desert. Finally, they stopped at the entrance of an underground castle. The heavy stone doors slowly opened with a creaking sound, revealing a deep, secluded passage. Bai Zai led the group inside. The castle had 3 levels, and the lowest level connected to an underground river. Su Yao was exhausted. The moment she touched the soft bed, she fell into a deep sleep and even had an embarrassing dream, with Bai Zai as the male lead. Amu! Amu! Suddenly, Su Bei's childlike voice rang in her ear. Su Yao gradually pulled away from the confusing dream. Big brother, why is Amu's face so red? Is she sick? Su Mo's worried words completely woke Su Yao up. She suddenly opened her eyes, and what met her gaze were the 3 cubs' little faces full of concern. Su Yao's cheeks instantly flushed hot. Amu, why is your face getting redder? She felt so embarrassed she wished for a hole to crawl into. She reached up and touched her face. It was burning hot. Maybe the animal skin blanket is too thick and I'm a little hot. She looked down. There was no blanket at all. Su Bei stretched out his little hand and touched Su Yao's forehead. Amu, I think you really have a fever. We found a river downstairs. Do you want to go take a bath? Hearing this, Su Yao nodded. It had been a long time since she had a bath, and she felt like she was starting to smell. Soon, they reached the bottom floor of the castle. The gurgling sound of the underground river was clearly audible. When the pool of water formed by the river appeared before her eyes, Su Yao's eyes lit up. This was more exciting than seeing an oasis in the desert. Su Yao couldn't wait to walk to the edge of the pool and reached out to touch the water's surface. Sure enough, a cool sensation instantly spread from her fingertips throughout her body. Emu, you bathe first. I'll watch out for you outside. Su Yao acknowledged him. After Su Bei went out, she quickly shed her clothes and stepped into the pool. The cool pool water enveloped her body, causing a thin layer of goosebumps, but she quickly adapted to the temperature. Su Yao scooped up water and splashed it on her face and body, scrubbing away the grime and washing away her fatigue. She took out shampoo from her space and washed her hair 3 times. After the grease and sand in her hair were rinsed away, Su Yao simply submerged her entire body in the water. After half an hour of soaking, Su Yao reluctantly stood up from the water. She changed into clean clothes, used a towel to dry her hair until it stopped dripping, and called out toward the entrance. "Xiaobei, I'm done washing." Su Bei immediately ran in. Seeing his refreshed Amu, a bright smile appeared on his face. "Amu, you look so pretty today." Su Yao smiled, rubbed his head, and walked with him back up to the castle's upper level. When Su Yao and Su Bei came up, they happened to see Bai Zai talking to Su Nan and Su Mo. The 2 little ones were not as resistant as they were yesterday, but they still didn't give him a kind look. Bai Zai looked apologetic, his voice deep and sincere. "I know that I haven't been by your side all these years and let you suffer too much. It's my fault as a father." Su Nan snorted coldly. "What's the use of saying that now? We've managed to survive all these years." Su Mo's eyes were slightly red. "You ignored us for so many years and now suddenly show up. Why do you think we'll forgive you? We have Amu, and that's enough." Bai Zai looked at the stubborn and wrong children before him, his throat seemingly choked by something. He wanted to apologize. "Afu didn't know you existed before. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let you be out there for so long. Who would believe that? Don't you know if you've made it or not?" Bai Zai had no answer to this. He truly didn't know when he had made it with a female, but no one would believe that explanation. "Xiaonan, Amo, come here." Su Yao stood not far away, beckoning gently. Su Yao looked up at Bai Zai, her eyes full of complex emotions. To be honest, Bai Zai was exactly her type. "Amu, is he really our Afu?" Su Nan asked softly, looking at Bai Zai with both curiosity and resistance. Su Yao sighed softly. "If nothing unexpected happens, he is. Amu doesn't remember either." According to the setting of the Beast World, Bai Zai couldn't take any other female besides her, but she couldn't immediately accept him. Thinking of the dream she had last night, Su Yao didn't know how to face him now. "Su Yao, Su Yu is awake." Just then, Zongkun's voice came from behind. Hearing this, Su Yao immediately walked toward Zongkun, her steps hurried, not even bothering to look back at Bai Zai. The 3 cubs heard that Su Yu was awake and also turned to follow. "Su Yu, you're finally awake." Su Yao's voice held undisguised delight. "Amu!" When Su Yu saw Su Yao, he immediately flapped his wings and circled her. The 3 cubs also crowded around the bed, asking about Su Yu's condition. "Su Yu, how do you feel? Are you uncomfortable anywhere? You've been asleep for so long." You had us so worried. Su Yu fluttered his wings, responding to his brother's concern. He finally landed in Su Yao's palm. "Wu Yu, it's good that you're okay." Su Bei raised his hand and touched Su Yu's feathers. "Su Bei, brother, you transformed! That's amazing!" Su Yu craned his little head, his eyes full of surprise. Su Bei scratched his head. "I just transformed recently too. When you get better, Afu will get you a transformation grass, and you'll surely be able to transform quickly too." Su Yu tilted his head, his eyes full of confusion. "Who is Afu?" Su Bei gestured excitedly. "Afu is amazing! The castle we're staying in now is Afu's home. He also said he will protect us from now on and never let us be bullied again." Su Yu was happy for his brothers, but a little disappointed in his heart. "That's great. You all have an A- Fu now." "Okay, Su Yu just woke up. Don't overwhelm him." Su Yao sensed the hint of loneliness in Su Yu's emotions and gently stroked his head. She took out food from her space for Su Yu. "You've slept so long. Eat something first." Zongkun had been standing behind her, watching Su Yao. She looked at Zongkun and said, "Let's go back once the cubs have transformed." Bai Zai, standing outside the door, froze when he heard this. He hadn't expected Su Yao to plan on leaving so soon. A feeling of panic and reluctance surged within him. Bai Zai took a deep breath, pushed the door open, and walked in. He looked at Su Yao, his eyes full of pleading sincerity. "Su Yao, could you stay for a few more days? The cubs just acknowledged me. I want to spend more time with them." Su Yao slightly started, surprised that Bai Zai would come in at that moment, and even more surprised that he would express his thoughts so directly. She bit her lip, feeling conflicted, but also couldn't bear the longing in Bai Zei's eyes. Don't make Amu feel awkward. Sunan stood in front of Su Yao. Amu wants to go back because she doesn't like it here with you. We listen to Amu, Sumo echoed from the side. Where Amu is, we are. Bai Zei looked at Subei. Xiaobei, do you want to leave Afu so soon? Subei lowered his head, hesitating. He felt a hint of closeness to this newly appeared Afu, but he didn't want to go against his Amu's wishes. Afu, I don't know. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, he shouted excitedly, Afu, you can come with us. Bai Zei was slightly taken aback, a flash of surprise in his eyes, but it was quickly followed by hesitation. He looked up at Su Yao, his voice carrying a hint of caution. Su Yao, can I go with you? Hearing this, Su Yao subconsciously wanted to refuse, but seeing the sincerity in Bai Zei's eyes and thinking of the children's longing for a father's love, the words caught in her throat. Amu, just let Afu come with us. He's so amazing. Then we won't be afraid of being bullied anymore. Subei chimed in, his eyes full of expectation. Although Sunan said he didn't want to stay, hearing Subei say this, he couldn't help but secretly look at Su Yao. Deep down, he also had a slight expectation that Bai Zei could travel with them. Bai Zei, are you really willing to leave this familiar place and live an uncertain, wandering life with us? Think carefully before you answer. Bai Zei didn't hesitate. Of course I'm willing. As long as I can be with you all, I'm willing to go anywhere. I've missed too much of the cubs, growth over the years, and I don't want to miss any more. Su Yao had no words left. Seeing this, Bai Zei quickly added a few more sentences. Let's go eat first. After we eat, I'll help Sunan and Sumo transform. Hearing this, the eyes of Sunan and Sumo instantly lit up. Really? We can transform right away? Sumo's excited voice was slightly shaky. They were descendants of the beast god, but having been raised solely by their mother, were mistakenly thought to be monsters incapable of transformation. Since birth, they had suffered disdain and torment within the tribe. The malicious creatures who tormented them never knew that it was this overly powerful ancient bloodline that prevented them from possessing the intelligence to transform at birth. Just as Bai Zei said he could help them transform immediately, Sunan and Sumo's eyes instantly lit up. Really? We can transform right away? Sumo's excited voice was slightly shaky. Sunan also found it hard to conceal his joy, but he still didn't want Bai Zei to see his anticipation. HMPH, I'm not in a hurry. Bai Zei just smiled and reminded them that transformation might be a bit painful, but not to be afraid. Afu will always be by your side. Sunan and Sumo exchanged glances, then looked at Bai Zei. Although there was still some barrier in their hearts, they couldn't help but nod when they heard him say this. Su Yao also wanted to see what the cubs looked like after transforming. So everyone sat around the table and began to eat, the atmosphere gradually becoming relaxed. At the dinner table, Zhang Kun saw Su Yao only focusing on feeding the cubs and barely having any food in her own bowl, so he naturally and skillfully added a piece of meat to her bowl. This scene happened to fall into Bai Zei's eyes. His hand gripping the chopsticks tightened, and a nameless pang of bitterness welled up in his heart. He secretly observed Su Yao and Zhang Kun. The two interacted extremely naturally. Sunan noticed Bai Zei's thoughts, and a mischievous smile appeared in his eyes. Uncle Zhang Kun, thank you for taking care of Amu and us all this time. If it weren't for you, I don't know what would have happened. When Amu looks for a mate in the future, she should look for someone reliable, like Uncle Zhang Kun. The moment Sunan said this, the dining table instantly fell into a silence, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Bai Zei looked at Sunan in disbelief, his eyes filled with hurt. He opened his mouth to retort, but couldn't say anything. Su Yao was both surprised and embarrassed, scolding, "Xiaonan, don't talk nonsense." Sunan, however, acted as if he hadn't heard her, and continued, "I mean it. Uncle Zhang Kun is powerful and considerate. Amu definitely won't be wronged if she's with him." The delight in Zhang Kun's eyes was impossible to suppress. He deliberately added a large piece of roast meat to Sunan's bowl and added meat for Sumo, Suyu, and Subei as well. This series of interactions made Bai Zei's face grow paler. He felt like an outsider, completely excluded from this warm little circle. Watching Zhang Kun interact harmoniously with the children, his sense of frustration and jealousy grew stronger. Yet, he had no standing to stop it. Su Yao saw Bai Zei's unhappy expression and remembered that the cubs' transformation still depended on him, so she couldn't let the tension escalate. She said, "Let's eat first. Transformation's gonna be painful later." After dinner, Bai Zhe started preparing the items needed for the transformation medicine. He took a deep breath in the room, trying to adjust his emotions. It was normal for the cubs to be resentful, having missed so much. His goal was to earn their acceptance, not to sulk. Sunan looked at the greenish liquid in his bowl with a slight look of distaste. "This is the transformation grass? I can transform after drinking it?" At first, the two little ones didn't feel anything, but slowly, their body and limbs started to go numb. As their bones restructured and their bodies grew, Sunan and Sumo couldn't help but let out muffled groans of pain. It felt as if 1,000 fine needles were simultaneously piercing their skin. Su Yao watched with a heavy heart but didn't dare to go forward and interrupt. The fluffy down on their bodies gradually receded, replaced by smooth skin. Sunan was the first to complete the transformation. His small face was pale, and Su Yao felt a pang of distress. She rushed up and hugged him tightly. Sunan leaned weakly in her embrace. Sumo, meanwhile, was writhing on the ground in pain. "Amu, it hurts so much. I can't take it anymore." He let out whimpering sounds from his throat, the changes in his body making even his breathing painful. Gradually, his claws elongated, turning into human legs and hands, and the fur on his body receded, transforming him into a boy of about 6 years old. Sumo's face was pale, and tears of pain still lingered in his eyes. "Amu, I'm so tired." Su Yao walked forward and wrapped Sumo in the soft animal skin blanket she had prepared. Quote, "There, it's over now, my good boy." Bai Zhe bent down and picked up Sunan, walking toward the room upstairs. Su Yao also picked up Sumo and followed. Back in the room, she began treating them with healing spells. Under the effects of the healing magic, the children's faces gradually regained some color, their tightly furrowed brows slowly relaxed, and they drifted off to sleep. "Let's talk outside," Bai Zhe said to Su Yao after seeing the two cubs. Breathing stabilized. Su Yao thought for a moment and nodded. Dongkun consciously stayed in the room to watch over Sunan and Sumo. "Do you want to recover your memories?" Bai Zhe asked directly. Su Yao naturally wanted to figure out what was going on between her and Bai Zhe, and whether she was truly the birth mother of Sunan, Sumo, and Subei. The priest of the Fox tribe has a secret technique that allows people to enter memories of their past life. The White Fox tribe lives in the Snow Mountain, about a 10-day journey from here. Su Yao frowned slightly. A 10-day journey isn't short, and it's the cold season. The outside world is too dangerous. Sunan and Sumo just finished transforming, and their bodies are still very weak. Will traveling affect them? No, they are not as fragile as you think. I will protect all of you. It turned out that as everyone was discussing the journey to the Snow Mountain tribe, Su Yu suddenly showed a look of pain and backed away in horror, his eyes fixed on Zhu Ying. The terrifying scene constantly flashed in his mind. So many snakes. The ground, trees, and cave entrances were covered with dense snakes. They writhed in agony and then all collapsed on the ground, slowly losing their lives. Su Yu's heart was in extreme turmoil. He didn't know if he should tell everyone about the disaster he saw. What if they treated him as a monster who brought disaster if he spoke? "Xiao Yu, what's wrong?" Su Yao noticed Wu Yu's abnormality and walked up to him with concern. "Are you uncomfortable?" Su Yu opened his mouth, but couldn't make a sound. Zhu Ying frowned in confusion. "What's wrong with this little guy? Did my handsome face scare him?" Su Yao lifted him onto her palm. "Xiao Yu, did you see something on Uncle Zhu Ying? Amu told you that being able to foresee disaster is a gift from the beast god, not a bad thing. Tell Amu what you saw. If we know beforehand, we might be able to avoid the disaster." After a long while, Su Yu finally mustered the courage to speak. "Amu, I saw that Uncle Zhu Ying's tribe will have a great disaster. Many tribesmen will be tormented by illness and eventually die." Silence instantly fell over the surroundings. Everyone looked at Su Yu in shock, their gaze finally settling on Zhu Ying. Zhu Ying's originally relaxed expression was instantly replaced by terror. He thought of the disaster the priest had predicted, which had been hanging over his head. The fear now seemed to have taken on a concrete form. He was completely unprepared and didn't know what to prepare for. He didn't even know what kind of disaster it was. He couldn't stop trembling. Is this true? Zhu Ying's voice was hoarse as he looked at Su Yu, his gaze pleading for a negative answer. Although Zhu Ying had lied to Su Yao when Su Bei was missing, after traveling together and experiencing so much, Su Yao had come to regard Zhu Ying as a friend. Seeing Zhu Ying's current state, Su Yao felt pity. She stepped forward and patted Zhu Ying's shoulder. Zhu Ying, thinking of Su Yao as the variable the priest mentioned, instantly looked at her with a pleading look. Su Yao, can you come back to the tribe with me and take a look? Of course. Although you're annoying, since we encountered this, let's go together and take a look. Let's pack up and leave quickly. Su Yao made the final decision, immediately changing their plan to head for Zhu Ying's snake tribe. All the way, Zhu Ying remained silent, full of anxiety. Zhang Kun was also full of worry, as their priest had also predicted a disaster for the Feather Tribe. With Bai Zhe accompanying them on the journey, the fierce beasts in the Sandlands dared not approach. The group successfully reached the edge of the Sandlands. As soon as they got close, a biting cold surged towards them. Looking out, the world was completely covered by a blanket of snow. The icy cold wind whistled. The three cubs were instantly frozen red. Su Yao reminded them, "Quickly transform into your beast forms to keep warm." The three cubs quickly transformed, curling up into balls, resembling three fluffy spheres. Su Yao quickly took out a beast skin blanket from her space, covering herself and the three cubs. Yet, even so, they were shivering from the cold. The temperature was probably below -20 degrees Celsius, accompanied by a blizzard. Seeing this, Bai Zhe suggested they rest for the night before setting off. Zhang Kun flipped his palm, and a warm flame instantly ignited in his hand. The flame grew larger and larger, soon forming a blazing ring of fire that enveloped everyone. Bai Zhe also stood aside and used his water ability, creating an invisible barrier around the fire ring to block the invasion of the cold wind from outside. The three cubs changed back to their original forms, curiously watching the ring of fire, their eyes full of wonder. After a day of travel, everyone was hungry. Bai Zhe and Zhu Ying went hunting, leaving Zhang Kun to look after Su Yao and the cubs. There were few prey at the edge of the Sandlands, so they had to search toward the forest. The two figures quickly disappeared into the vast yellow sand. Su Bei looked longingly in the direction they left. "Amu, I want to go hunting too." Su Yao pinched his chubby face. "Okay, when you grow up, I'll have Uncle Zhang Kun teach you. Stay put for now." "Why not let Afu teach me? Although Uncle Zhong Kun is nice, I'd rather Afu teach me." Su Yao's hand paused. She didn't know why, but she had subconsciously said Zhang Kun's name. Zhang Kun was ecstatic. It turned out he already held a place in Su Yao's heart. After a long while, there was movement in the distance. Bai Zhe and Zhu Ying walked back, dragging a sturdy snow deer. Although they had caught prey, Zhu Ying's face was still full of worry. Su Yao looked at Zhu Ying and comforted him. "Don't worry too much. We'll reach the tribe soon. The disaster hasn't happened yet, so there must be a way to solve it." Zhu Ying nodded slightly and dragged the prey aside to process it. Zhang Kun stepped forward to help. Soon, the aroma of roast meat wafted through the air. Su Yao took out a military tent and carefully pressed down the edges to ensure no wind or sand could blow in. After eating the roast meat, Zhang Kun carried Su Mo into the tent. Bai Zhe and Zhu Ying stood guard outside. Because Zhang Kun possessed fire ability, his entire body was warm. The cubs liked to stick close to him. "Amu, sit here." Su Nan pulled Su Yao to sit next to Zhang Kun. "Uncle Zhang Kun is warm, so Amu won't catch a cold and get sick." Su Yao had caught a cold and gotten sick on the way to the Sandlands tribe, and Su Nan had kept it in mind, constantly looking out for his Amu. This was his way of protecting his Amu. Little did he know that it was that night that Zhang Kun was marked by his Amu. Su Yao sat down next to Zhang Kun naturally and obediently. It wasn't the first time they had slept together. Primarily it was too cold, and who wouldn't love a walking furnace? Su Bei also scooted over and nestled close to Zhang Kun. "Uncle Zhang Kun, you're so warm." Bai Zhe and Zhu Ying shivered from the cold while guarding outside the tent. "I should have worn more animal skins," Zhu Ying muttered softly. Bai Zhe glanced at him, then held out his palm. A blue light shone, and a transparent water barrier instantly enveloped the two of them, immediately cutting off the external cold. Zhu Ying sighed with relief and looked at Bai Zhe gratefully. In the middle of the night, Zhang Kun saw the three cubs asleep and slowly withdrew his ability after covering them with the beast skin. However, seeing Su Yao curled up in a ball, he activated his ability again. The temperature inside the tent slowly rose. Su Yao, who had been slightly shivering in the cold night, felt the warmth washing over her and instinctively snuggled toward the warm spot. Zhang Kun maintained his ability. Wrapped in warmth, Su Yao slept soundly. In her sleep, Su Yao turned over and rolled directly into Zhongkun's arms. Zhongkun looked down and saw Su Yao nestled comfortably in his embrace. He couldn't help but reach out to touch her. Looking at the defenseless female leaning against him, his breathing slowly became heavier. He unconsciously tightened his arms slightly, wanting to hold Su Yao tightly in his arms, but he was afraid of waking her, so he could only endure the inner excitement, maintaining a stiff posture. The cubs in the tent were still sound asleep, completely unaware of everything. Zhongkun slightly adjusted his posture to make Su Yao more comfortable, and simultaneously pulled the blanket over her entire body. He could sense that Su Yao's heart was slowly softening. He believed that if he just tried a little harder, she would gradually accept him, just as dawn was breaking. Zhongkun opened his eyes. Looking at the sleeping beauty beside him, the corner of his mouth unconsciously turned up. He really wanted to just hold her like this, but he was worried Su Yao would feel awkward when she woke up. He tried to pull away with extremely light movements, but Su Yao was still woken up. Her consciousness was still in a haze, only feeling a warm and familiar presence enveloping her. She didn't resist the feeling and instinctively snuggled into Zhongkun's embrace. She opened her eyes blankly, traces of sleep still lingering in them. After a few seconds, she fully realized that she was nestled in Zhongkun's arms, and her face instantly flushed bright red. She scrambled to get up, but her movements were too hasty, and her head uncontrollably bumped into Zhongkun's chin. She was knocked back down. Both of them winced in pain. Zhongkun unconsciously let out a muffled groan. Are you okay? Su Yao stammered out. You didn't get hurt, did you? I can't afford to pay for that. Just then, the sound of Bai Zhe and Zhu Ying talking came from outside the tent. The snow has stopped ahead. Call them to get up and leave quickly. There will be a blizzard if we delay. The two inside the tent quickly composed themselves, got dressed, and walked out. The cold air rushed at them, and everyone subconsciously wrapped their bee skins tighter. After breakfast, they continued their journey. This time, Su Yao and the cubs were also sitting on Zhongkun's back. Zhu Ying flew at the front to lead the way, and Bai Zi flew at the rear. Along the way, they encountered many fierce beasts that had come out to forage while the blizzard was paused. But with the three Beast Kings present, they were quickly dealt with, and the group gained a lot of prey. However, halfway through the journey, snow began to fall again. Slowly, strong winds accompanied by a blizzard swept through. Zhu Ying struggled to scout ahead. His enormous body looked somewhat small in the wind and snow. There's a valley ahead that should provide shelter from the wind. Everyone's spirits lifted at the news, and they sped up their flight. When they got closer to the valley, they discovered it was a hidden gem. The mountain walls on both sides of the valley were high, blocking the whistling wind and snow. A strange smell permeated the air as soon as they entered the cave. The group subconsciously frowned. The deeper they walked, the higher the temperature got. After walking for about 10 minutes, winding through twists and turns, everyone stopped at a corner. Ahead was a pool of water steaming hotly. White mist billowed up from the pool. Zhongkun and Zhu Ying froze upon seeing the smoking water, their eyes filled with fear. This place feels strange. We should leave quickly. Su Yao, however, had stars in her eyes. This is a hot spring. It's so comfortable to soak in and can drive away the cold. Su Yao couldn't wait and took a few steps forward, enjoying the warmth washing over her. Be careful. There might be danger. Don't go near it. Zhongkun and Zhu Ying remained vigilant and dared not approach. Su Yao smiled and reached out to test the water temperature. The temperature is perfect. Come and try it. Bai Zhe brought the cubs closer and, following her example, put his hands into the hot spring pool. Once everyone confirmed there was no danger, they quickly began to act. They cleared a dry space outside the hot spring pool and went to look for dry branches and dead grass in the valley to start a fire. After walking so long in the freezing weather, the thought of soaking in a hot spring to relieve their fatigue was exhilarating. However, Zhongkun stood in front of her. Wait a moment, I'll go in and check for any dangers first. Zhongkun slowly bent down, staring at the water for a long while, then jumped into the water to check. Only after confirming there was no danger did he stand up. Su Yao felt quite touched by Zhongkun's cautiousness. No problem, the water temperature is good too. Su Yao looked through the mist at the soaking wet Zhongkun. The swirling mist added a layer of ambiguity. Zhongkun uncontrollably moved closer to her. They already had a temporary mark, and he had been restraining himself for days. The atmosphere was charged with emotion, and he could no longer suppress his inner desires. His eyes locked onto Su Yao, and he approached step by step. Su Yao sensed Zhongkun's proximity, and her heart suddenly raced. She slightly tilted her head, and her eyes met Jong-kun's mid-air. She was momentarily stunned and forgot to react. Jong-kun stopped in front of her, close enough for her to feel the unique aura emanating from him. Ah, Yao. Jong-kun's voice was deep and husky, carrying an endless longing. He slowly raised his hand and gently touched Su Yao's cheek. The moment of contact felt like a jolt of electricity. Su Yao's body trembled. She should have resisted, should have stopped him, but her body was uncontrollable and disobedient. Jong-kun's finger slid down her cheek, stopping at her chin. The distance between them was minimal, their warm breaths mingling. The ambiguous atmosphere intensified in the mist. No, don't! Although she said no, her body clung tighter. Just then, the sound of footsteps came from around the corner. It was Baizhe. Baizhe walked into the cave with Subei. The two, who had been immersed in the charged moment, instantly pulled apart. Su Yao's face was burning hot, and she frantically lowered her head to hide her embarrassment. Jong-kun cleared his throat and looked away, a flash of regret in his eyes. Amu, we found some edible fruits nearby. Subei hadn't noticed the strange atmosphere and excitedly ran toward Su Yao, holding up the fruits in his hand. Baizhe stood at the corner, his gaze sweeping back and forth between Su Yao and Jong-kun, his expression complex and hard to decipher. Thank you, darling. Go play with your brothers first. Amu needs to take a bath. Su Yao tried to keep her voice steady, squatting down to take the fruits Subei handed her. Amu, why are you bathing with Uncle Jong-kun? What nonsense are you talking about? Uncle Jong-kun was just helping Amu check for danger. Now that it's checked, you and Uncle Jong-kun should go outside first. Su Yao closed her eyes, trying to calm her wildly beating heart. The almost out-of-control moment, when she recalled it, still made her cheeks burn. Sensing that everyone else had left, Su Yao slowly took off her clothes and stepped into the warm spring water, letting the hot water envelop her. Baizhe sat silently by the campfire, his head lowered, lost in thought. Suddenly, he focused his gaze on Jong-kun. Jong-kun felt a little uncomfortable under Baizhe's scrutiny. He turned his head, avoiding his gaze, and picked up a branch to poke the fire. He didn't mind coexisting with Baizhe, but Baizhe didn't seem willing to share a female with him. After a moment, Baizhe and Jong-kun exchanged a look and walked out of the cave together. They stopped in a sheltered spot in the valley. The two stared at each other and simultaneously attacked, exchanging blows without yielding. In the valley, the power of water and fire constantly collided. The surrounding trees were ignited by flames and then extinguished by water. The two fought fiercely, both soon bearing injuries. Just as they were about to launch another attack, a thick snake tail inserted itself between the two. Have you had enough? Look at what you've done to this valley. Are you going to let people sleep properly or not? If you have so much energy, why don't you go fight fierce beasts? Jong-kun looked away. He started it first, Baizhe snorted coldly. If you didn't have that intention, would I have attacked? Enough! Stop arguing! Su Yao is waiting over there. You two figure it out yourselves. The two fell silent upon hearing Su Yao's name. Su Yao had entered the cave after they stopped fighting and was currently holding Su Yu in the corner, whispering secrets. Baizhe and the others stepped into the hot spring cave, and a rich, meaty aroma wafted toward them. After dinner, everyone found a place to rest. Before dawn, they continued their journey. After a day and a night, they finally arrived at Jong-kun's snake tribe. The group stood outside the gate of the snake tribe, but found the tribe empty. It turned out that many tribesmen had gone into hibernation due to the cold season. Only beastmen above 3 stars could resist the cold and managed to move around. Zhu Ying led the group into the tribe, settling them in a cave near his own. Su Yao followed Zhu Ying to see the priest. Inside the priest's cave, many beastmen and females were gathered, as well as snake cubs curled up in coils. Every one of them was pale, their lips cracked, and their bodies so weak they could barely stand. Seeing this, Zhu Ying hurried forward, his expression grave as he looked at the sick tribesmen. The priest, who was treating the tribesmen, heard Jong-kun's voice and rushed over. When he saw Su Yao, he looked like he had seen a savior. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Since yesterday, a few people in the tribe have shown strange symptoms. High fever won't subside, and they are completely weak, showing no signs of improvement. By today, the number of sick people has increased. We've tried all kinds of herbs to no avail. The priest's brow furrowed tightly, his eyes filled with anxiety. He turned and looked at Su Yao with a hint of expectation. Female Su Yao, the tribe is suffering this great disaster. I hope you can put aside past grudges and help us overcome this difficulty." Su Yao nodded and didn't waste words, going straight up to examine them. After a moment, her expression became solemn. "Zhu Ying, the situation is probably worse than we imagined." Hearing this, Zhu Ying's body swayed, his eyes full of terror. "How serious is it? Just tell me what needs to be done, and I will fully cooperate." A microscopic parasite, invisible to the naked eye, is living inside their brains. It likely entered their bodies through the water we drink or the food we eat, drinking our blood and growing slowly. Everyone exchanged startled looks upon hearing this, their faces full of shock and fear. "What should we do now? Will the bugs eat us?" Don't worry too much, everyone. The early discovery allows us to control it. Since I'm here, I won't stand by and do nothing. She could use healing magic to purify the toxins, but the snake tribe's population was too large for her to handle alone. She found an anti-parasitic formula in her space, but a formula alone was not enough. They also needed to find the corresponding herbs. Su Yao pondered for a moment before speaking. "The treatment requires a lot of herbs. However, it's the cold season, and all the vegetation is covered by heavy snow. The herbs will be extremely hard to find." The priest's face showed a hint of despair. Is our snake tribe truly going to perish at the hands of these bugs this time? Zhu Ying lowered his head in thought, then suddenly looked up, a flash of determination in his eyes. "No matter how difficult, we must search. We'll search inch by inch, and we'll eventually find some." The priest sighed, not responding. Su Yao nodded. "There's no need to rush. I can temporarily prevent the parasites from growing. We can search for the herbs after the cold season ends." The priest looked at Su Yao, his eyes full of gratitude. "Female Su Yao, you've had a difficult journey. Please go back and get some rest first." "It's all right. I need to treat the sick tribesmen first. Zhu Ying, bring all the tribesmen with symptoms here." Zhu Ying immediately sprang into action. After a moment, those with symptoms were carried to the priest's cave. Su Yao immediately began to cast healing magic. Her hands glowed with a soft light, gently covering the first patient's wound. The patient's tightly furrowed brows gradually relaxed, and the look of pain on his face lessened significantly. Su Yao continued to cast healing magic on the sick tribesmen one after another. Casting healing magic consumed a significant amount of energy. After treating more than 10 people in a row, Su Yao felt a strong wave of dizziness and a faint pain in her lower abdomen. Zhu Ying saw Su Yao's exhaustion, and a flicker of distress crossed his eyes. He quickly walked to Su Yao's side. "That's enough, Su Yao. Go back and rest first." Su Yao nodded. The illness was indeed as she had guessed. It consumed a lot of healing energy. If only she had deworming agents. Back at the cave, she found only Su Bei and Su Yu eating roast meat. Where are Su Nan and Su Mo? Su Yao was puzzled not to see the other two cubs. Su Bei pointed inside the cave. Big brother and second brother are in there with A Fu. Su Yao was a little surprised. Su Nan and Su Mo had always been resistant to their suddenly appearing father. She hadn't expected them to be alone together this time. Su Yao went around the corner and entered the cave. She saw Bai Zhe squatting, helping Su Nan straighten his clothes. Su Mo was already wearing new animal skin clothes. Bai Zhe noticed Su Yao entering and looked up, seeing her slightly pale face. His heart felt as if it had been pricked by something. "You don't look well. Quickly lie down on the bed." He stood up, intending to help her. Su Yao politely shook her head. "I'm fine. I'll feel better after resting for a bit. Did you make these animal skin clothes?" Bai Zhe helped her sit down on the stone bed before speaking. "I'm very sorry that I couldn't be with you all these years. This is what I should do as a father. You've suffered too much bringing up the children alone. I truly feel guilty." Su Yao was slightly stunned. She was at a loss for words in the face of such straightforwardness. "Su Yao, will you give me a chance to make amends? Although I don't remember what happened between us before, I, Bai Zhe, am not a casual person. I must have chosen you as my partner because I liked you." Su Yao had too many questions, and she dared not agree easily, but she could clearly see that Su Nan was slowly accepting Bai Zhe's presence. If he didn't like him, he wouldn't wear the clothes he sent. What surprised Bai Zhe even more was that Su Yao let him sleep with the cubs at night. She was creating opportunities for them to spend time together. Su Yao hadn't thought much about it. She just felt her period was about to start. That night, Su Yao indeed felt severe lower abdominal pain. Her period came with a vengeance, and the pain made her writhe on the bed. Bai Zhe's sense of smell was keen. and he detected the unusual scent of blood. He came over to check and saw Su Yao's face was pale from the pain. He took out a few red berries from his space and handed them to Su Yao. "Eat these berries first. Maybe you'll feel better." "Thank you." Su Yao's breath was weak. The pain made even speaking difficult. Bai Zhe shook his head. "I don't want to see you suffer." He awkwardly used his sleeve to wipe away her tears. Around the corner, the three cubs peeked in, their ears perked up, listening to the conversation inside. They didn't understand why Amu was in so much pain, only feeling very scared. Will Amu die? Sube shrunk his head back, quietly sobbing, his voice full of fear. "No, she won't. I'll protect Amu." Sunan was also very worried, but he tried hard to comfort his brother. Bai Zhe stroked Su Yao's lower abdomen, helping to alleviate her pain. "No matter what happened before, I will always be by your side and won't let you suffer like this again." Su Yao softly groaned in response. After eating the bloodberries, she indeed felt much better. "Go back and rest. I'm fine now." "Okay, I'll go out when you fall asleep." The bloating pain in Su Yao's lower abdomen lessened, and her face gradually regained some color. "Okay, you all go out and sleep. I need to rest." She felt like blood was gushing out, and if she didn't get up, it would flow onto her back. Hearing this, Bai Zhe stood up and led the three cubs out. Su Yao quickly stood up, changed her clothes, and used disposable wipes to clean herself. Just as she was about to put on a new set of clothes, Zhang Kun's voice came from the cave entrance. "Su Yao, do you need hot water?" Su Yao's hand suddenly froze, her movements stopping. Her cheeks instantly flushed crimson. She was thankful that Zhang Kun at the entrance couldn't see her current predicament. She calmed her mind, trying to make her voice sound natural. "Okay, wait a moment." She quickly put on her clothes, threw the blood-stained beast skin blanket and the clothes she had just taken off into her space, and then called Zhang Kun to come in. Zhang Kun walked in carrying a large bucket of water, his eyes lowered, not looking at Su Yao. "I thought you might need hot water, so I heated some for you." Su Yao looked at the full bucket of hot water, a warmth surging in her heart. "Thank you, Zhang Kun. I didn't realize you were so thoughtful." Zhang Kun set down the bucket and left. "Use it first. I'll guard outside. Call me if you need anything." This cave connected to the caves on both sides. Bai Zhe, in the adjacent cave, could clearly hear the conversation between Zhang Kun and Su Yao, but he had no standing to interfere. After Zhang Kun left, Su Yao took a deep breath, letting her wildly beating heart slowly calm down. Her gaze fell on the steaming water. Su Yao took off her clothes again and stepped into the wooden tub. The warm water enveloped her body. Zhang Kun's thoughtfulness made her a little flustered, but she didn't resist it. As she was on her period, she dared not bathe for too long. She quickly washed and got out of the tub, lying down on the bed and slowly drifting off to sleep. In her dream, she felt a warm presence enveloping her. When she woke up again, she was alone, but the bathwater was gone. The next morning, Bai Zhe arrived at Su Yao's cave early. "You should rest well these few days. Don't worry about the snake tribe's affairs for now." He handed her a bowl of meat soup. Su Yao took the soup and slowly ate it. Her condition indeed made it unsuitable for her to use her healing magic. Just then, Zhang Kun returned, wrapped in the wind and snow. He shook off the snowflakes and took out a few reddish-brown eggs wrapped in bee skin from his embrace. "Where did these come from?" Su Yao was surprised. "How can there be eggs in the freezing cold?" "These are snow goose eggs. They are good for females during their mating season." Su Yao choked on the phrase, mating season. She was just on her period. How did it turn into the mating season? Wait a minute, for a female beastman, the mating season follows the period. She felt overwhelmed. A female only has a period once a year, and during the mating season, she would be overwhelmingly attracted to men, completely out of control. This was too embarrassing. What should she do? Zhang Kun, however, calmly placed the goose eggs in a stone pot to boil them for her. Su Yao tried hard to calm herself down, but the thought of the upcoming mating season made it impossible. She secretly observed Zhang Kun and Bai Zhe, wondering if she would have to rely on them to get through it. The problem was, who should she choose? This thought was too shameful, and she quickly shook her head to cast these distracting thoughts aside. The snow goose eggs were soon ready. Zhang Kun used leaves as a coaster, scooping out the eggs one by one and handing them to Su Yao. A week later, Su Yao suddenly felt a wave of dizziness, and a strange sensation spread throughout her body. Her legs felt weak and she almost fell. Luckily, She caught herself by leaning on the cave wall. Jong-kun heard the movement and immediately appeared at the cave entrance, striding towards Su-Yao. Su-Yao, are you all right? Su-Yao's consciousness was slightly blurred by the desire of the mating season, but she still recognized Jong-kun. Jong-kun, I can't control myself. It's so uncomfortable. Su-Yao still had a sliver of consciousness. She couldn't let the children see her in such a state. Leave me now. Jong-kun lifted Su-Yao in a bridal carry and flew out of the cave toward the hot spring cave in the valley. Bai-Zhe returned from hunting, learned that Su-Yao had been taken away by Jong-kun, and smelled the strong scent of a female in heat in the cave. He was instantly enraged, and with a flash, he disappeared from the entrance. Jong-kun flew quickly, carrying Su-Yao. Su-Yao lay weakly on his back, occasionally letting out soft whimpers. Jong-kun was also struggling. Her unique scent constantly drifted into his nose, challenging his self-control at every moment. Despite the freezing cold, he was sweating profusely. They soon arrived at the hot spring cave. Jong-kun placed Su-Yao on the soft beast-skin mat beside the hot spring. Su-Yao emitted a strong female scent. Jong-kun felt his head spinning, and a certain part of him was throbbing painfully. He knelt on one knee in front of Su-Yao. Su-Yao, don't be afraid. I'm here. At this moment, Su-Yao could barely understand his words. She only instinctively rubbed against him. Jong-kun took off her outer clothing and carried her into the hot spring pool. He looked at Su-Yao, his eyes filled with tenderness and longing, but also apprehension and restraint. The mix of emotions was driving him to the brink of madness. Su-Yao, can you see who I am? Su-Yao was completely dazed, but she still managed to raise her head with effort. Are you Jong-kun? Jong-kun's emotions surged. Yes, I am Jong-kun. Are you willing to take me? Su-Yao looked up at Jong-kun in a trance. She opened her mouth, but her throat was dry, and she couldn't make a sound. Jong-kun thought she hadn't heard clearly and leaned closer. Su-Yao, I really like you. He paused slightly, then bravely spoke again. Can you give me a title? I want to spend the rest of my life with you, protecting you and the cubs and ensuring you never suffer any hardship. I don't mind if you have other partners, as long as there's a place for me in your heart. Su-Yao, will you consider me? If you don't speak, I'll take it as a yes. Su-Yao was in no state to listen to him. She found him too noisy and silenced him with a kiss. Jong-kun was stunned by Su-Yao's sudden kiss, his mind instantly blank. Su-Yao wrapped her arms around Jong-kun's neck. In the swirling mist, they were inseparable. However, at that moment, a shout broke the wonderful atmosphere. Ayao! Ayao! Bai-Zhe had followed the scent. The intimate atmosphere in the cave, combined with the two entangled figures before him, instantly made his eyes bloodshot. Rage shot to the top of his head. Jong-kun, how dare you touch her? Bai-Zhe roared, his water ability surging around him. The temperature in the cave instantly dropped. Jong-kun suddenly turned and shielded Su-Yao behind him, a look of displeasure at the interruption in his eyes. What impeccable timing! His fire ability also erupted, not to be outdone, colliding with Bai-Zhe's water ability. Bai-Zhe looked at Su-Yao, whose clothes were disheveled behind Jong-kun, and his heart ached. Ayao, don't be afraid, I'll take you away. He moved to rush forward. Jong-kun blocked Bai-Zhe's path. Bai-Zhe, Su-Yao can't have only one male. She has her own choice. We should respect her decision. Get out of the way, don't force me to fight you. The two glared at each other, and the next second, they were locked in a brawl. Fearing that their elemental clash would harm Su-Yao, they chose to fight with their fists, hitting hard with full force. Su-Yao was also awakened by the noise of their fighting. She looked at the two fighting men, feeling helpless. Enough! Both of you stop right now. She struggled to stand up to stop them, but fell back into the pool due to her weakness and limpness. Enough! Su-Yao took out a megaphone from her dimensional space and shouted with all her might. Her voice echoed through the cave through the megaphone. She forced her weak body to stand up, leaning on the side of the pool. Quote, have you fought enough? If you're gonna fight, go outside and fight. Bring me someone who can help me resolve this. Su-Yao felt 1,000 ants crawling over her body, tingling her skin. Every word was squeezed out through gritted teeth. Bai-Zhe and Jong-kun were both stunned upon hearing this, a flicker of awkwardness and guilt crossing their faces. Bai-Zhe was about to speak, but was weakly interrupted by Su-Yao. Stop talking! I'm dying of discomfort right now. Jong-kun gritted his teeth and stepped forward. Let me help her through the mating season first. The rest can wait. Bizet looked at Su Yao's pained expression and nodded. At this moment, the atmosphere became strangely tense. Zhang Kun and Bizet both knew that Su Yao urgently needed comfort, but neither wanted to yield to the other. Zhang Kun reached out to touch Su Yao, but was pushed away by Bizet. Su Yao was both annoyed and anxious at this, and her body felt even more uncomfortable. Her legs weakened, and she almost fell again. "Both of you calm down! If you can't, then I'll switch to someone else." Seeing this, the two men could no longer bother with their animosity. Bizet calmed down and soothed her softly. "Yao, I'll help you." Zhang Kun stood nearby, refusing to leave. Bizet slowly lowered Su Yao into the hot spring pool, then stepped in himself. He gently stroked Su Yao's forehead, releasing his male aura to help relieve her. Seeing this, Zhang Kun also quickly sat by the edge of the pool, putting his hand into the water and similarly releasing his male aura. Su Yao only felt worse. "One of you is enough. I can't handle both of you at once."